I want to start with the fact that you do have a hold. The stock has had an incredible year, though it's well off of its highs. So why not buy it here?
Hey, great to be here with you. I mean, I think there's two reasons. One is I think that there is still continued uncertainty about where the revenues and where the need for ongoing boosters is every single year. And I think as you're watching Omicron, even though I think a boost is needed, is milder and milder, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about the tail on boosters. The second thing I think is certainly a much discussed topic, which is valuation, close to $105 billion market cap, one of the largest biotechs out there on a one product story. I think there's still a lot of uncertainty going forward. So that's why the hold.
This issue of Omicron being allegedly more or not as severe as at least what we think now, given some of the studies that we've seen. What does that do you think, to demand? Even if, let's just say, health officials say, yes, next year you're going to need a booster. Is there going to be a negative demand effect from the fact that Omicron appears to be less severe, thus people will be less inclined to go out and actually get the booster, and then the negative impact from Moderna as a result?
Well, I think you're headed along the right path. I think you and I probably both agree the peak number of vaccine use was probably just last year, right? I think more than ever, more people ever got a vaccine was in the last 12 months. Each subsequent year, I think there will be lesser and lesser demand due to the fact that it will be milder and milder. And I think to some extent, there'll be additional competitors out in the field as well, which I think is probably something we haven't brought up. So even though you might argue that half of the United States does get a flu vaccine every year, which is a lot, I think around the world, that's much less the case. And I think going forward here, due to the less severity each year, I do think that there could be less and less use of a booster each year as well. Thank you.
Michael, perhaps the tail is short once all populations are eligible, but you still have very young children who are not eligible. And the Moderna trial for children, which, full disclosure, my kids are in, is 14 months long. And you still have kids who haven't gotten their first, second, and third shots once they are eligible. And Pfizer is now going back to the drawing board for dosing for that age group. So I'm wondering how big a boon you think potentially opening up that population for eligibility could be for Moderna, especially given the relative weakness of the Pfizer data so far.
That's a good point. And I do think that in the short to medium term, the use of vaccines in pediatrics and even infants, I know the Pfizer data as well, and the potential approval of that in children younger than 5 years old is also coming. And I do think that will be a short to medium term boost. The key with the stock, though, and I think here on Wall Street, is the visibility on the future tail, the durability of that tail, and to what extent, there is demand. I think Wall Street quickly will move on from the surge and the use of that and probably searching for an additional pipeline issue for Moderna. So I think the debate around Moderna, quite frankly, will shift from, okay, there is vaccine use. Yes, there will be each year some vaccine use, but do they have something else on the platform? Do they have another drug? Because Wall Street wants to see growth. We want to invest in growth. We want to see whether that platform can produce something else.